It's hard to listen to a heart beating close to mine, pounding up against the stone and steel walls that I won't climb. Sometimes the hurt is so deep, 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 you think that you're gonna drown. Sometimes all I can do is weep, weep, weep with all this rain falling down. Strange how hard it rains now. Rows and rows of big dark clouds, but I'm holding on underneath their shroud. Rain,
From the year 1960 until 1996, the Latin American country of Guatemala suffered from devastating civil wars and unrest. The UN has now classified this massacre as genocide. Over the course of 36 years, more than 200,000 people were slain in the name of human rights. The war has been over for 13 years, but conditions in Guatemala remain dismal. The after effects of the war are still being felt, with thousands of unidentified bodies still being discovered and the economy no better than it was before. The U.S. involvement in Guatemalan affairs has historically been negative. Their civil war was perpetuated by American military intervention and economic greed. Today, non-profit organizations like Hearts in Motion are working to bring aid to those living in poverty. Hearts in Motion began when its founder, Karen Shuringa, began taking children who needed medical care to the United States for surgery, including Maria, who now, with the help of Karen and Hearts in Motion, runs a free daycare for the families in her village.
My name is Maria, and welcome to everyone. This is my daycare. The story is that when I was 4 months old, I got polio, and after 8 years later, Karen came from the United States with a group, and thank God we got a chance to meet her. And after that, 2 years later, she took me to the United States for surgery in LA. So I used to live in the United States with her in her house for 3 years.
Living in the United States gave her the opportunity to not only look after the kids in her village, but to teach them as well.
Pollito. Chiste. Pollito.
Chiste.
Zapato.
Chut.
Zapato.
Chut.
Bota. Bota. Abierto. Open. Abierto. Manzana. Manzana.
The efforts of Hearts in Motion, in Guatemala especially, now include establishing nutrition centers and organizing community feeds for malnourished children, starting free daycares, like Maria's, for working families, and hosting free medical clinics in poverty-stricken areas. Despite the relief efforts orchestrated by groups like Hearts in Motion, life in Latin America remains difficult, resulting in mass immigration into the United States. Immigration to America peaked in the 1970s due to the violence of the Civil War and continues as the economy worsens along with growing gang violence. Despite having been ravaged by war, Latin Americans hold their native countries close to their hearts.
Honduras es un país muy lindo, muy tranquilo. El clima de allá es caliente.
Una vida muy bonita. Guatemala es muy bonito. Es igual que acá. O sea, toda la gente trabaja, la misma rutina, trabajo, casa.
Bueno, cuando eres pequeño es muy bonito, pero ya cuando creces te vas dando cuenta cómo sufren los papás para poderlo sacar adelante a uno. Pero sí, cuesta demasiado.
Despite the civil unrest and economic turmoil, Latin Americans who immigrate are reluctant to leave their homeland and families behind in search of economic prosperity. Immigrants, like Bonnie Hernandez, who followed her mother to the United States years ago. Her reason, not surprisingly, involves the economy.
Bueno, en Honduras hay mucho trabajo, pero la economía no está bien que se diga. Pagan muy poco y la gente pues trata de buscar, tú sabes, para venir para Estados Unidos a salir adelante, para mejorar, para sacar a un futuro a su familia. Y por eso casi la mayoría, los que son más de pueblo, inmigran más para acá.
Guatemalan native Lupin, who requested that his face not be shown, left his home and his family for the same reasons.
Es el pequeño problema que hay en Guatemala, de que la falta de empleo, entonces uno no encuentra trabajo en Guatemala, entonces uno opta por otro lado, ¿no? Para tener el sueño americano. Sí, sí.
A common theme between these immigrants and Latin Americans in general is family and community.
Lo más difícil es no tener a tu familia contigo. Tengo 2 hijos, una de
¿Están con quién?
15 años y uno de 20 ya. Ellos viven con mi abuela.
When Jessica, Bonnie's daughter, was asked why she'd like to go to Honduras, she had this to say.
What? To see my brothers and sisters and play with them.
Okay.
If I could teach them how to speak English.
Okay. Many immigrants plan on returning to their home countries, including Lupin, who plans on staying for 5 more years.
Yo pienso poner, por ejemplo, mi propio, ¿cómo le digo? En Guatemala se dice taller, no, negocio, de mi profesión. Yo y mi hermano, porque mi hermano también es mecánico.
In light of the recent economic recession occurring in America, many immigrants are heading home due to lost jobs and even lower wages. As Latin Americans return to their home countries, the work of nonprofits like Hearts in Motion is becoming more imperative than ever. There's a social stigma surrounding Latin American immigrants that is not found attached to other immigrant groups. That, along with the military intervention that perpetuated their civil war, makes the work of groups like Hearts in Motion that much more important. They work every day to promote a better relationship between our countries. The success they have had proves that we can work together for the common good, we can make a difference, and we can coexist.
Quisiera verte, expresar mi amor y en un beso, brindarte el corazón. Me pongo triste al no escuchar tu voz, será tu rostro lo que me enamoró y no he podido contener el llanto. Pasan las horas, todavía no me hallo. Ay, ¿qué será de mí? A cada instante te vivo pensando. Quiero decirte que te estoy amando y que vivo